What is up, everybody? Thank you again, in all seriousness, to everyone that has supported what Miri and I have been doing. And I am so proud to have all you guys here on our very own channel, where you will obviously find us for the rest of eternity. Diving into this, I'm Zak Nava of Nava Reptiles. Miri, obviously, if you want to introduce yourself.
No, you already did it for me. It's okay.
That's Miri from MSB Reptiles, and we're joined tonight by Brent of a few different things, right? Brent, if you want to kind of rattle off the various organizations that you represent or are part of.
Yeah, I'll do the main ones. Venom Life Gear and Get Hook Snake Hooks, the Asclepius Snakebite Foundation, and Venom Institute. We'll start with those.
Love it, love it. Yeah, just a short list. Short list.
Yeah, we ain't got time for that, man. We got time for the whole list. We got plenty of time to talk about that.
Yeah, that's what this whole thing's for, right? You get to talk about yourself this time.
Oh, you even know what you guys signed up for?
I do.
Fair enough.
Oh, now Zach's
Later,
already
Zach.
leaving. So I'm
Cool.
gonna ask you the first thing. So, first of all, are you gonna be at Conroe?
I am. Yes, I'm not vending at Conroe. There's a long list of people who have been waiting much more patiently than I and deserve a spot much more quickly than I. And so I worked with Sean and Lori over at Herps to get on the long list for all the upcoming ones and
Mm-hmm.
multiple other shows as well. But this Conroe, I'm going to be making I don't know, I'm just going to make an appearance on Saturday, go see all my friends and family, and probably have a couple cocktails with my best friend and just hang out and visit, chat,
Hell yeah!
and and that's one thing I do want to touch on tonight too is why we go to reptile shows. We don't need to do that right now, but I definitely will be there at Conroe this weekend.
Are you gonna be at Schaumburg too?
I will, and that one we will be vending. We will be vending at Schaumburg. We'll have Venom Life products and Get Hook products. We just released two lines of women's long sleeves, two lines of women's short sleeves. These men's tank tops. Um, Man, I got. Oh, I didn't even show you yet. Stay there, Sid. I know we're live.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
You guys settle and get used to this. This is just Brent's energy all the time. It's one of my favorite things about him, actually.
Yes, finally!
Oh,
I was
see,
so excited.
Totally worth the wait.
I can appreciate a good Venom Life church key. Okay, if anybody can, it's me.
Hey, so we'll have those at Schaumburg.
Hey man, depending on what happens with me, I might need one of those again. I might have to bring the old church key back out of retirement. We'll see.
Let's go. So yes, I will be making an appearance at Conroe this weekend. I will be at Schaumburg. I think the next one scheduled after that for us at Venom Life and Get Hooked is it's gonna be probably Gettysburg up in PA.
Oh wow!
But I do want to say for people, probably by the end of this year, don't be surprised if Get Hooked just kind of goes away. I know it's been a good name for a long time, but we're just gonna start making Venom Life snake hooks instead of having the
Hell
double
yeah.
brand. I don't think it makes sense. Oh, Zach's
I
starting
like
to get
that
the ghosts
idea.
out.
Is it a beer?
Hey, hey Sid, what shirt do you have on?
Just a normal shirt.
No logos.
My Venom Life one's dirty. I wear it to the gym
Oh
all
no,
the time.
no, you fair enough. I mean, I know you wear it there for sure. I was just curious. I noticed we had Zach over here with Triple B. I'm sporting the MSB hat, and we're all supporting each other, which is I think super cool, man. In fact, that's one of the reasons I'm going this weekend, even though I'm not vending at Conroe. I think that it's super important that we support each other in the hobby. We support each other at our booths. We support each other online and on podcasts. And I can say personally, Venom Life wouldn't be anywhere near where we are in just 2 years without the unprecedented love and support that we've gotten from pretty much other vendors and people within the industry.
Absolutely. Everybody freaking
Um,
loves you.
it's not me, no, Venom Life for sure. I'm just one of those guys that people are like, oh my god, if I could bottle his energy and sell it, I'd be a millionaire.
Pretty much. You always have $1 million ideas every day.
I do, but that's because, and Zach kind of prefaced this a little bit on the post. I do want to get a little bit into business stuff. I think that it's important. I don't want to do it right this second, but I do kind of want to get into
No.
that because I have a different mindset than a lot of people, and some people agree, some people don't. But I think that it's important to bring those types of mindsets into all of life. So I'm going to signpost it so people stick around for a little bit, and then we're going to get to that also.
Yeah, no, I that's actually my favorite topic. Anybody that has watched me on Connected by Creatures will know, like, that's my 90% of the time. Like, that's where I veer. I love to hear people talk about, like, self-made people, people that are big into business, that are big into just again, just like taking something that we're all passionate about and really finding a way to make that support their life. And so, yeah, that's a big thing for me. So like you said, we will definitely veer into that direction.
For sure.
In the meantime, let's try to stick towards, I guess, the animals, because I obviously think we know that's what brings all three of us together.
They're overrated,
What
man. Snakes are like goldfish. You can always get new ones.
100%,
I'm just
100%.
joking.
I agree. No, I agree. I mean, everything that I try to do, in all seriousness, most compliments that we get on any of the interviews that we do is that we stayed away from the snake conversation, we stayed away from the animal conversations, and we got to expose, not in a negative way, obviously, or maybe sometimes, but expose these people in the industry for who they are, and really shed some light on the personalities of everyone, and man, that's the reason that I like to have guests on. And I think Miri and I kind of agree with that. Like, the people that she and I talk about having on here are always people that were like, yeah, there's this perception of them, but then there's like who we know them as, and like that's where I want to get down to.
Right. No, that's super fair. And so bringing it back to the animal thing, obviously I love animals, right? I mean, I have
Yeah.
a degree in zoology.
Yep.
So I'm an animal expert by trade, which I hate that word, but I have a degree in zoology. So but I still dabble in all kinds of stuff, man. I do entomology. I take Boy Scouts on. I volunteer a ton for Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Becoming an outdoors woman, I volunteer for that as an instructor as well. And I do talks on bats. I do talks on entomology, native grasses from Kansas to West Texas. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So it's not just that; it's nature, man. And
Yeah.
I think we all still have a love for our animals, and obviously we're all attracted to the reptiles, and we all have kind of an affinity to that, right? But that's not to say, I mean, Sydney probably, if she could fit mammals into this small cages like she does her reptiles, she'd probably have just as many of those.
Oh, absolutely. You know
Those and
that.
birds. It's just the ease. It's just the ease of it, to because let's face it, snakes are easy. Like I'll leave for 2 weeks and all I do is give them some water, some food, and they're cool when I come back. You can't do that
Yeah,
with
that's
the
one of the
dog.
best things about it. Yeah.
But being out in nature and I think that's kind of how we all get started is we just have this love for nature and for animals and for life. And you're right. In the industry, there is different kinds of people, and certainly without naming any names, the people who are in the industry to make money off of animals, and it's not about animal care, good husbandry, things like
Sure.
that. And it's something that you can spot from a mile away if you have any idea what you're doing
Yeah.
and you've like worked with animals before.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other people who even like me, like I'm not even there selling animals, but I'm
Yeah.
super passionate about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And trying to protect them and conservation and stuff from like park and amphibians reptile conservation and HCI working with Mike and Chip and all those guys and Herp Conservation International. So there's a lot of things that I kind of do behind the scenes, but you guys know me as a person, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's really what it comes down to is our love for animals.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I think about that too, and I'm like, if you really love your animals, why do you sell them all the time, Sid?
You know
Yeah,
that
no,
I have a problem
well,
with selling.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, this
Now,
one's so cute. This one bit me. I need to keep this one.
to be fair, I know that she does have a hard time getting rid of some of them.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sitting
was
her
gonna
almost
say.
cry boxing up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for anybody that's not fully aware, he's actually not kidding. Like, there's been actual conversation with her, like I'm sure Brent and I both have this covered. Like, no, like yes, that animal bit you, and yes, it was super cute. That is not a good reason to keep it. Like,
Right.
It so is. Perfect
it's so not.
reason.
It's so not.
But
But
we love our animals, man. We love our
yeah,
animals,
Mhm.
you know,
yeah,
and we go to the shows and we get to see all these cool animals. And I'm not going to go on the whole rant about, you know, all these shows being overrun by, you know, geckos and ball pythons, because I've done that in enough podcasts personally, let
sure.
alone everybody else. But what I did want to touch on too is like when you're talking about nature and caring for animals, like humans are natural,
Hmm.
and humans are animals. And
Hmm.
so I know too that, I mean, the three of us here, I know, and I don't know you that well, Zach, but I know you well enough to know that you're compassionate, empathetic, you know, you're a loving, caring person. And I know that very
Sure.
well about Sid. And most people who know me
Yeah.
know that about me as well. And that's one of the things too. When I go to these shows, yeah, of course, I have my business. I go to make money. And when I visit on Conroe on Saturday, yeah, I want to promote my company and hang out with my friends. But it's also a lot of these shows, man. This Some of these shows, it's the only time I get to see these people. When I go to Daytona,
Yep.
it's the only time of the year I see Justin Smith and Phil Wolf. When I go to Pomona, it's the only time I get to see some of those people from California and Nevada.
Yep.
So once a year, I get the opportunity to hang out with my friends, and that's super important to me. And when I watch devastation happen to people in their lives and tragedies, and I watch the reptile community step up. I don't think we talk about it enough. We have a
We
million
don't.
YouTube videos out
Nope.
there on all these shows. You watch a Tinley video, there's 300 Tinley videos that come out twice a year on
Yep.
YouTube. And I'm not bashing anybody, but this is a real thing that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And so for
Yeah.
people who want to get to know me, this is it. There'll be 300 videos that'll launch after a Tinley spring or fall, and they're all great. Well, not all, but most of them are pretty good. But what you see is the same 1,800 ball pythons, the same
Hmm.
3,200 leopard geckos or whatever, and it's like, I mean, that's cool, but I mean, if I just want to see ball pythons, I got to stay at home and Google that shit for free. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
it's a real thing, and
Yeah. It doesn't
the
give the
people,
experience.
man. No,
Yep.
but the people, man, the vendors,
Hmm.
like when you
Exactly.
watch the camaraderie, we're watching each other's booths, and we're hanging out, like we're competitors on floor, selling the same type of stuff, but then we're all sharing drinks at the hot tub three
Yeah.
hours later. Um, when cars break down on the way in and people stop to on their way in to pick up because they know there's live animals in there and they see the trailer and they help them get to the show, or sharing cars to the airport, like, and more importantly, like I said, when like JT and Chase and when even here in Lake Charles, I'm in Lake Charles, Louisiana now, for those of you who don't know. um, and when we had the hurricanes last July, and then 12 weeks later, 8 weeks later, whatever it was, the second one came through. There were a lot of hurt people here that did Lake Charles and Lafayette and Beaumont, from the Herps shows, from Sean Gray shows, and all those people stepped up with the Herps Family Foundation, and helped them like rebuild, recover a lot of their animals, and then
Right.
move out of town, and cover a lot of that cost. And with JT and with Chase and his brain cancer that he survived,
Yeah,
like
man.
we've raised hundreds of millions of dollars for each other. Um, and then I see these like little clicky things where people are like, don't deal with that guy, don't do this, and I'm like, man,
Right.
like what?
Right.
Like it's so weird to me. It's such a weird dynamic. The reptile industry is such a weird place, but when it really comes down to it, um, people step up and take care of each other. And I think we're gonna
Yeah.
focus on the human aspect of people who love reptiles, which is weird to me because we already have a bad rap to begin with, because
Yeah.
we're already unlike the other 95.5% of the world's population by
Yeah.
Yep.
liking snakes.
Yeah, I mean, I have people that like me that like met me, and then they find out I keep snakes, and like I can literally
Yeah.
feel their energy change, where they're like,
Yeah.
oh, and then they're like, and then all of a sudden it's like there's literally this barrier, and it's like that's stupid. Do you understand how ignorant you are? But again, I take that personally in the sense that I'm like, that's for me to fight back against. Like a lot of people could take that the opposite direction and be like,
Right.
oh well, fuck you. You don't like what I keep. Like, no. It's the exact opposite. It is
But
my responsibility now as a reptile owner to be like the greatest
Yeah.
person this individual ever met in their life and make them smile and laugh every single
Yep.
day, so they can be like, fuck, I know Zach keeps a shitload of snakes, but I like this motherfucker, whether I want to or not. You know, that's how we should all carry ourselves.
Be cool as well. That's absolutely true, man. I think you hit the nail on the head, Zach, when you said ignorance. And when somebody else is like, oh, this guy's so ignorant, and I'm like, well, that's your fault, bro. Because in order for that dude to be ignorant, by definition, that means you have information that he does not.
Yes.
Because if neither of you had the information, you wouldn't know he was ignorant. So by definition, if you think he's ignorant, that means you have information that he does not. So if he's still ignorant at the end of the day, that's
you have
your
failed.
fault, bro. That's
you chose failure. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, because people are going to say, well, some people are just not receptive. Well, you didn't take the right approach. And again, like I understand there are always going to be those people that are just flat out not going to change their mind, not going to listen. But what people will appreciate, like when they fall asleep at night, if you got somebody that's just legitimately that hard up against you, it's like, no, there's nothing you can say. I want nothing to do with snakes. They're disgusting. They're terrible. Reptiles in general, whatever the case is. If you stay positive throughout that entire interaction, like I understand, and smile. I understand that you feel that way, and almost laugh at them in a little bit of a way. Like, I get that you feel that way because I meet people like you all the time, and you just haven't met the right reptile yet. You just haven't had the right experience yet. You haven't had the right person introduce you in the right way to these animals. And at the end of the day, even if you guys walk away having left it at that, they are going to have no choice but to be faced with all of the things that you said and all the things that they said, and they're going to have to, at least 90% of logical human beings will at least a little bit give way in their brain to where maybe next time you have that conversation, or maybe the next time they have that conversation with someone else, they'll think twice. And it's just that that small that people in this hobby just don't understand. Going back to what you're saying, Brent, like negativity, man, is just in general in life. And I think you'll appreciate this. In life, negativity does not get you anywhere, dude. You're on a dead end. As soon as things go negative, you're done. You might as well walk away, call it good, say, hey, let's try this again
breeds
tomorrow.
Negativity. Right?
Exactly.
It's a negative feedback loop. Things that are negative, and then things become more negative. In fact, in psychology, there's actually a thing called the spotlight effect. Which and a good example of that is people who go look for Bigfoot always seem to find him. We always find what we're looking for. If you look in the good in a situation, you always find the good. If you look for the bad, you always find the bad. In psychology, it's actually called the spotlight effect. And our human nature is to make sure that in every single thing that we do every single day, we are building our own case to prove ourselves right in everything that we do.
Yeah, our brains can't handle being wrong.
We never want to be wrong, dude.
Or lack of information. Yeah.
We do one of two things all the time as human beings, our human nature. One, we either try to avoid looking bad, or B, always do whatever we can to look good, which more often than not ends up being the same thing. But think about it, man. From putting on clothes in the morning, to trimming your nails, to doing your hair, to putting on makeup, to the car you drive, to the type of couch you buy, to the color patterns on your house, like every single thing we do, every single moment. Name one thing you do in your life where you don't actively try to look good or avoid looking bad.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't happen. We do it every second when we wake up. And there's nothing
it's all about self-awareness, right? Is what you're talking about. It's all about self-awareness. And again, just in those moments, understanding that I want to react angrily to this person. I want to spit venom in their face. You know, I want to be angry, but understanding and taking it and just, it comes with experience. You know, younger me was very full of just fucking just salt and vinegar and just hated everyone. Yeah, only younger me, for sure. Never me now, but younger me for sure. You know, just reacted to people in kind. You know, I responded to people in kind, and my thought process was like, well, that's what they deserve. Like that's the way they treated me, so that's the way that they're going to get treated in return. But what I realized is that like all that does is just perpetuate a cycle, and nothing is ever gained on either side. So it's like I was that kid in high school that had blue hair and gauges and lip piercings, the whole nine. And I would react so negatively and so angrily to people that I could feel judging me. And it's like, dumbass, this is why they're judging you, because people like you act like this. Like you are literally creating your own fucking problem and then building on it. And us reptile people are exactly.
In the reptile industry, we kind of do the same thing.
We 1,000% we do the same thing. We not, and again, not all of us. I hate blanket statements. We can definitely not make a blanket statement, but I can definitely say that there's just not nearly enough of us that stand up and say, "Hey guys, can we all just shut the fuck up and be happy for a second and appreciate the fact that like we all get to work with these animals right now?" Because like that might not happen. Again, not to harp on the fact that like a lot of rights are being lost, but these are the truths. These are uncomfortable truths. And it's not a popular topic to talk about because people are like, oh, I've heard this 1,000 times. You don't need to cover this. We might not need to cover it for you, but we need to cover it for
Yeah,
everyone.
but more and more people end up seeing the stuff later who couldn't have seen what else was posted. So
yeah, and that's exactly right, man. And I think that's one of the big things is like, and when I say in our industry, like we are the problem a lot of the times, right? I've done, I don't even know, like another 6 or 7 podcasts before this one just this year, right? Like I'm averaging like 1 or 2 a month, which is awesome, man. And I'm super happy to be on here, man. I really hope that I get to come back. But one of the things on a lot of those things, we always get into the topic about free handling. People always want to talk about free handling, and I'm not going to get into it here because there's 19 other podcasts you can go find that talk about it. And if you want to talk about it, we'll just set up a second one here and we'll talk about it right here all day long. But yeah, I'm of course I'm against it. I'm one of the bigger manufacturers of snake hooks. And I did the training video for the Department of Defense. I trained the U.S. military on venomous snake safety. I did the training video for them. And I work with some of the best guys in the world on this stuff, right? And my nonprofits and other things. So, and I say, like, everybody's like, oh, we got to stop free handling. People got to stop free handling. I'm like, bro, he has 3.7 million followers on his Instagram.
Not gonna happen.
And you're one of them, bro.
Yeah.
Like as long as we continue to allow bad behavior in our industry, we can't sit back and bitch about how it is. So like in all of my businesses, from my construction company that I have down here to Venom Life to like all the things that I do, the Amazon company, all the things that I'm into right now. It really comes down to leadership for me and leadership in the industry and things like that. Yeah, I drink on camera, I cuss, I show up late, I leave early, whatever. Like I kind of do what I want, but we'll circle back to this. But I was a rock star for 14 years. I got paid to play music, for a decade and a half. So that's a hard cycle to break. But that all being said, I know that I'm certainly not perfect, but when it comes down to leadership, like if we really want to make a change in the industry and do things like support USARC and make changes in a good way and have a positive influence on the general public and educate people in a good way, it takes good leadership. And when I say leadership, it's circling back to kind of what you said and saying like, a true leader, in my opinion, a true leader accepts zero of the credit when things go right, because his team and everybody below him are the ones that made it happen.
Yeah. And that's how things are supposed to go.
Yes, and a true leader takes zero of the credit when when things go right, and they take 100% of the fault when it goes wrong. And it doesn't matter. You can say all day like, "Oh, well, that guy did it. I hired this guy and he didn't show up, and I did." I'm like, bro, you're making excuses, man.
Yep, make excuses where you want, but
here's the reality. You either A, hired the wrong person, you didn't train him properly, you didn't delegate properly, you didn't give him enough time, you didn't give him the right tools, you didn't give him enough support. Like there's a million reasons that you failed as a leader.
Yep.
Own it, man. So when things go bad in your company or in your industry or whatever, you got to step up and own it like it's your fault. And tell everybody or the majority or at least the ones that have the voice and the leadership and the respect of the rest of the people in the industry, until they step up and start doing that on a regular basis, it's not going to change, man. It's not going to change. We're going to continue to have the same problems, the same fights, lose the laws, have the same dumb people doing the same dumb thing online. And then we're all just going to sit back and complain about it like it's somebody else's fault, because it's way easier to point the finger at somebody else than it is to step up and be like, I don't care if people don't like me. You're stupid, and I'm not going to support that. You free handle, I'll block you within 10 seconds. I don't care if you're one of my best customers. I'll block you in 10 seconds because I ain't got time for that, man. And I won't support it because what I say, I mean, right? So there you go. That's a little bit. That's a little bit about me in the industry. And Mike, I don't know what's going on. This granite table is really nice, but it's very
it's
slippery apparently. Let's try that. Okay.
Did you build that one too?
I made this one in 2008 when I got trained on the new CNC machine in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I did granite countertops for 17 years. Certified.
Now you're doing what?
Now I'm back to doing countertops. Unfortunately, I've retired from countertops 3 times in my life, and I'm back doing it. But I'm doing
Hey
countertops
man,
and
as long as it pays
backsplash
the bills.
floorings. It's doing a lot more than that right now. Thank,
Yeah, I
thank
know.
the
The
gods.
market's crazy.
Well, that's I came to Lake Charles, Louisiana, to help rebuild the community after the back-to-back
Yep.
hurricanes, and I didn't come down here to capitalize on people. I specifically
No.
found out what everybody else was charging and went with a normal nationally,
Yeah.
relegated rate. I charge
Yeah.
less than everybody else. I'm 3 months ahead of everybody else, and I do
Yeah.
arguably a better job than everybody else. And I'm not saying that because I'm saying that. I'm saying that because every single customer I've had since last November has said that. Um, because I don't take on more work than I can handle. But yeah, back doing construction stuff and finish work in houses, and I had the opportunity to come down here, and anybody that knows about me and business knows, Zach, I know that this hit you when I did the last podcast.
Yep.
Was I always want to make sure that there's 3 identifiable winners in any business deal that I do. Um, and with this one in particular was I got to make money and make a decent living. Um, and potentially be able to help more people with that. I get to help people here get into their houses faster for less money than everybody else is charging with a better quality product because I actually care. I'm not just a turn and burn out of Houston
Mm-hmm.
or somewhere else where they just came in to take the money and run. And the third winner, obviously, is you know the 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 rest of the community gets
Yeah.
built up
The impact you
faster
have on the world. Yeah. Yeah.
because it's not just the one customer that I'm helping. By helping that one customer and getting more people into their more houses more quickly, brings Lake Charles as a whole back up to where the real estate is good again, the industry is
Yeah.
good again, businesses can start reopening because there's people living here again. Um, you know, when I came down here, more people emigrated from Lake Charles, Louisiana than any other city between 2019 and 2020. More people left here between those 2 years than anywhere else
Hmm.
in the country. Also, Lake Charles, Louisiana as a whole had the lowest census of all 50 states, which means they're getting the least amount of federal aid and federal support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We had back-to-back hurricanes that were almost as bad as the one that hit New Orleans that put everybody in the Superdome,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't make national news. And then we
Yeah.
had flooding 2 weeks ago, and it made MSNBC, ABC, and NBC all
Hmm.
on the same day. Because it was a 100-year flood event. We have hurricanes all the time, and
How
it's
are
like
you doing
Yeah.
from that now?
from the flooding.
Hmm.
I'm doing great. My area, just outside of city limits, was not affected personally, but it really slowed down a lot of my jobs. I mean, I had some fourplexes and eightplexes that I was doing all the cabinets and countertops in, and we
Yeah.
were 3 weeks away from having people move in. And then we
They're
had that
underwater.
flood event that was 21.5 inches up to brand new cabinets, brand new flooring, brand new drywall, and to the point where the contractor that brought me in said, here's the keys, threw them back to the building owner and said, find somebody else. I've already built this place once. I'm not doing it again. And
Damn.
and keep in mind, so last July we had the hurricane that 195 mile per hour in Category 5, ripped everything wide open. FEMA came in and blew tarps, but before they could even finish, we had Laura that came through and dumped more water than most hurricanes do.
Right.
So flooding was terrible, and about 50 to 60% of the town was destroyed. This is a huge oil play, by the way. Like 80% of the oil that comes out of the Gulf goes through Lake Charles,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And then we had the hard freeze that affected Houston. I was living in a 26-foot travel trailer at the time, and I
Mm-hmm.
went
Yeah.
9 days with 1 hour of water every evening and power for about
Fuck.
3 hours a day, and it was -19, -20. I slept in my truck for 4 days. I lived in my truck, man. Just kept putting in fuel for my 5-gallon gas containers. I didn't leave that parking spot. I was in the same parking spot for 5 days. Slept in my front seat,
Right.
and because it was the only way to like arguably stay alive, man. And
Yeah.
then after
Literally.
that, we got the 100-year flood. It's like, man, God, if there is a God, He hates Lake Charles. Like these poor people can't catch a break, man. We are tired, we are exhausted, and everybody asks me why I stay, and I'm like, because if I don't, who's
How can
going
you
to?
not? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How can
When
you
I
not?
know that somebody needs help, if I can't do anything about it, I feel like shit. But
Yeah.
if I know somebody needs help and I can do something about it, and I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'd be able to
Yeah.
sleep at night.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say, man.
personality.
Yeah, if you're already there, boots on the ground, and you're leaving, knowing that you can help, like fuck, how do you sleep at night? There's no chance. And I think you and I have that in common. Like there's no way.
For sure.
There's no way.
Well, like
Yeah,
Sid just asked how I was doing with the flood. Like my place wasn't even flooded. I'm about 15 minutes outside of Lake Charles, 20 minutes outside of Lake Charles. I live outside the limits, got like 3/4 of an acre. Like my house is raised up. I'm fine. I didn't even get that much water in my driveway. But down there, they were 21.5 inches. It was up to my nipples. And I don't know if you guys saw my video that I posted a few weeks ago when the flood happened, but I jumped in my truck because I had a 6.5-inch lift kit with 37-inch tires, and I'm like, I have one of the biggest trucks in the area. So I drove straight headfirst into bumper high water on a 10-foot tall vehicle, and pulled out as many people as I could, drove people home, 60-year-old couples that needed to get home to their medication and couldn't. And I drove headfirst into that until my truck almost started drowning and I left. But that's just kind of my nature, is like I can't just sit by and watch somebody not
Right.
Well, especially now that
do
you've lived
nothing.
through it once. Now that you've lived through it once, and you have that experience, you know exactly what's going to happen. You know that there's people out there that need help, and so you're just you just dive into doing what you can.
Yeah, but on the other side of the coin, and listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is just me, right? You want to get to know me? Here's me. On the other side of the coin, I was driving around that entire time being like, bro, you're in an Acura. You watch that
What are you
Ford
doing?
F-350 up to the headlights, drowned out. Horn starts going off because it's shorted out, and that's mounted behind the grill.
Oh
They
no.
wade in chest deep water to the closest gas station just to find dry land and leave their truck abandoned in the middle of the road with the lights on and the horn going off. And then an Acura Integra tries to follow them through, and I'm like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I can't sit out here and save everybody, man.
Nope. No,
Right.
that's
really,
no.
and I hate to have to pick and choose, but at the same time, it's like, what the hell were you thinking? I'm from a place that doesn't even flood in Denver, Colorado, and I know better than that. So,
There's just a lot
anyways,
of snow there.
it's been crazy here. It's been crazy here, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing these days. I mean, I'm still doing the snake thing. I'm working with DGF here. They don't really have a lot of help in the parish with venomous snake removal and nuisance alligators and things like that. So I'm working with them now.
That's
The Department
needed
of Game
there
and
for
Fish in
sure.
Calcasieu Parish. Yeah. And education, right? Still doing the stuff with the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Rotary clubs and doctors and nurses, and talking to a lot of them about the information I have as well. So I'm still doing what I can outside of the construction thing, but that's kind of where my main line is right now.
Well, I'm gonna throw this out there, and I don't mean to cut you off, but
please.
The common theme that I'm finding, and that most people may not see the straight line to, but I do, is that what I love about what you do with the reptile hobby, right, is that every dollar that you are profiting, off of this hobby has nothing to do with the animals. It's all about the community and the people, and that rings home to me first and foremost, because the first time I made an NARBC, which was last September, mid-COVID, I made it to my first NARBC, which was Arlington, and literally was like welcome with open arms. Like I was family. I was treated like family all weekend. Like just everybody loves everybody, and it was you literally like echoed things that I've said about the shows, where it's literally just like you have all these competitors that are kind of busting balls with each other, but like after the fact that everybody's meeting up at the bar and just like talking about how their day was, and like, oh, did you see this snake, and blah, blah. Like it's just a giant community of people, man. And so when I went to Arlington this last time, and Miri was there, and just a ton of different people, somebody asked me on Sunday, they're like, oh man, what was your favorite thing you saw at the show? And I was like, it didn't hit me until they
Didn't
asked
even
me.
get
I said,
time.
I said, I literally have not looked at a single animal on anyone's table hardly. I was having so much fun talking to so many people that I never met before. People are coming up to me like, Zach, oh, about you, just like, and again, like that's not too on horn, but it was the first time that I've experienced people being like, oh my God, I've watched all your YouTube videos. I watch all your interviews and blah, blah. I'm like, you're just so great, dude. That was like that's all I gave a fuck about anymore.
Yeah.
And not the people that came up to me, but the people in general.
Yeah,
to clarify, all the people, man. And so now I'm like, fuck, I'm addicted. I have to go to all the shows, not because I give a fuck, and not one single fuck. Not to say I don't love the animals. I love the animals. I'm obsessed. But holy shit, go to any show. Anybody that's listening to this right now, go to a fucking show. Go to an ARBC or a Herp show, especially. Like, it is a family. Like, 100% walk up to the first person you recognize, whether that's me, whether that's Miri, whether that's Brent. Like, walk up to any of us and be like, hey, who the fuck do I need to talk to? What's going on? Like, let's have a good time.
That's
You're going to
exactly
be
what we
blown the
said
fuck
on
away.
Marita's podcast too. Whenever it was a
Yeah.
question of what would you tell somebody who was getting into the industry, like
Yes.
first thing is just go to a show. Just get to a show. You'll see the community. Whether these animals, I mean this much, just at least be part of the community. If you want to be part of it, start there, because that's going to be a lot of your passion, and it should be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, but that's true for anything. When people call me up and they're like, "Hey, how do I get into venomous snakes?" I'm like, "Well, it's a super tight knit community, and you can't just roll in. Like, you pretty much have to know somebody who knows somebody, and you have to like work your way in, because you can go buy venomous snakes, but you want to have like a decent name. You got to be working with good guys. You have to have a mentor. You have to have like you can't just do that and make a difference. And so what I tell them is like, if you want to do anything in science, go to conferences, man. Go to every conference you can. And when you see those guys get off the stage after presenting those papers, go introduce yourself. Like, get out there, man. And what's weird too is like, I know a lot of people in our industry in the hobby aren't necessarily science. They're not scientists. They're not necessarily science related guys, right? But they're also not super extroverted either, right? Like, when I was in the music industry for 14 years, everybody was an extrovert. The people in the crowd were, the people on the stage were, the bouncers were, like, everybody's bartenders. Everybody was an extrovert. That was my whole life, and I'm a super extrovert. So here it's a little bit different. And when I go to real, like, legit science conferences, which I do every year, lots of them, it's even more introverted. And I think that it's super interesting because people are scared to go up and talk to people and whatever. And I'm like, listen, man, if you go to a show, if you guys are listening and you're going or watching and going to your first show, ask that when you're holding that ball python, ask them, how did you get into the industry? How did you get into this? Like, we don't get that enough. And for a lot of us, like, I know Zach and I for sure, Sid probably, even though she's one of the more shy ones, to be honest.
I'm not shy, just on video.
Not in person. I was saying in person.
Not in
In all
person.
seriousness, you guys walk up to Sid, Miri, whatever you want to call her. She will talk your ear off. I promise you.
But it's just one of those things, like, everybody always asks, like, we get sick of being like, all right, it's a double het, gene, creamsicle, whatever, daiquiri. I don't even know the name anymore. But, it's one of those things. People rarely ask, like, how did you get into this? Like, what makes you want to do this? Like, and that for a lot of us will re-spark our interest and reinvigorate us and make us want to do a better job. I just don't think we get asked that enough, man. I don't think there's enough of that connection.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about literally at the very beginning of this. Is like, I don't want to talk to you about snakes. I don't give a fuck about talking to you about the latest morph of even cobras. Like, whatever the fuck, I don't give a shit about that.
I can't even.
I genuinely do not, because I know that there's 1,000 other fucking live streams that are probably live right now as we're doing this, talking about ball python morphs or any fucking morph. I don't give a shit. What I want to talk about is the people in this hobby, dude. The people, like, I've had my balls busted before. Miri can attest to this. I've had my balls busted before about why do you keep bringing on these nobodies in the hobby? Like, and that's first of all, it's a very fucking rude thing to say, because I've never brought on anyone to any live stream that I've ever had that I thought was a nobody in the business, because anybody that I bring on because I'm like, their shit is fucking fire. Their personality is fucking fire. Like, whatever the fuck it is, they have something amazing to provide that is not being highlighted. That's what I look for in guests. Like, and Brent, like that's what I love about you, man, is like, you are known in the hobby already, but you are known not necessarily for the right fucking reasons, dude. You're known as like, okay, this is Brent. He's from Venom Life. He's from Get Hooked. But like, dude, your vision is what I appreciate. Your vision for business, your vision for just in general for life, man. That is what is important. That is what should be celebrated. That is what should be contagious.
Life, so check this out. First of all, I want to say, if anybody's watching who are the ones that said, who are these nobodies on your show, watch your mouth, because who are you in the industry to say that they're a nobody, first of all? Okay, so watch your mouth, because anybody who says that screams ego. That says, and I'm a very confident person, and I'll say that up front right now. I am not cocky. but I'm very confident. And just to be clear for anybody who wants to know the difference, cocky means you think you're better than everybody else. Confident is just knowing how good you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think you're better than everybody else in the industry,
You
instead of
fucked up already.
messaging Zach, you probably would have been on here already. So let's just get that clear, because I'm sick and tired of people going on talking about how bad everybody else is, because guess what? Those are just the haters, man. And you know what haters are? People that just wish they were where you are right now, and they're vocal about it. And I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. We have a great community to bring each other up. Guess what? When you're in a bay, there's a whole bunch of sailboats out there. Guess what a rising tide does? It lifts all
Raise
ships.
all ships, bro. I say that shit all
Rising
the
tides
fucking
lifts all
time
ships, man. Like,
till I'm blue in the face, to the point it annoys the shit out of people. But I
yeah.
say it every fucking time I'm on a
But
fucking
that's a
stream.
real
I feel
thing,
like
man. Like, we got to bring
it's
each
a
other up.
fact.
Quit putting each other down. Like, quit putting each other down. We're all here in the same industry, selling the same stuff to the same people at the same shows. What exactly makes you better than everybody else?
Yep.
And what makes
No,
your animals better? Like, that's a personal opinion. You know what I mean? When everybody's like, oh, well, I got this much and whatever. So we talk about percentages, right? People talk about percentages all the time at shows and businesses. And I have 10% of the industry and I did 40% more than my competitor. I'm like, great.
yeah,
We could talk about percentages all day long, but guess what? That's
yeah,
relative. Because I
yeah.
would take 10% of a watermelon over 90% of a grape 10 times out of 10. Because
Yeah.
There you
10% of a
go.
watermelon is always more fruit than 90% of a grape or 100% of a
Yep.
grape. So
Yep.
percentages don't mean shit to me.
And especially in this industry, because let's be very clear, and I've said this numerous times, and I'm at some point this is going to catch up to me because I keep saying it, and I know people hate it, dude. This business is run like a fucking joke.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
a
a
shit show.
bunch of fucking people that don't have any business knowledge trying to act like they have business knowledge. And again, I'm happy for it. I'm very happy for it because it's going to make a lot of us very successful. It has made a lot of us very successful.
Yeah,
But
it's
my
true.
point is that the people that are like, don't call it a business, it's a hobby. Well, first of all, fuck you, because you don't get to decide that.
If you make
Second
money
of
on it,
all,
it's a business by
right, yeah.
definition.
Second of all, it can be a hobby for you, but it can also be a business for me. And I am a very, very, very small breeder, to be clear. I might produce 4 clutches this year. Okay. I am not somebody that's big, major, that's trying to talk down to anyone, but I also am not going to talk down to myself by calling what I do week in, week out a hobby. I am not doing this for nothing. And I don't think anyone can say with a straight face, if they really are honest with themselves, can say that, like, I'm doing this as a hobby because I think it's fucking fun to clean snake shit fucking 17
But you know
hours a
what?
week.
There are
No,
people
and
that do it
nobody
as a
does.
hobby. There are some people that do it as a hobby. They just
And,
keep
right,
snakes as a
and
hobby, and
that's it.
that's
And that,
fine.
but my point is, right, call it what it is. If that's the case, then great. I'm fucking happy for it. The point is to not shit on anyone.
But guess what? There's also probably what 3.5 billion people who can work on cars in the U.S. A lot of them do
Yep,
it because they like to restore cars for fun. The rest of them do it for a living
I'm
as
one of them.
ASE certified
Yeah,
mechanics.
right.
It's
I'm one of
okay
them.
to it's okay
Yeah,
to be in
I
an
got
industry
out of
that
the business.
a
Yep,
lot of people do it for the hobby because they like to restore
1000%.
cars. The rest of them do
Yeah,
it for a business because they get paid for it, and that's how
yeah.
they make a
And
Right.
thank you,
living.
thank you for keeping me on track, by the way, because I do sometimes get fucking like too far. But and that's the point. And that's the point. Is like, again, all of us, and at any given moment can like fucking go one way or the other. It's the facts, man.
Yeah.
My point was trying to be, just don't shit on each other. Like, don't give me a hard time for
Right.
calling it a business if you think it's a hobby. And I won't give you a hard time for calling it your hobby if I think it's a business. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. We can operate under the same roof, all of us. And we
Yeah.
can operate based on the fact that we all love all of this shit.
I don't.
And that's where I come back to again.
Yeah.
Go to a fucking show and
I don't like
talk to people.
geckos very much, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple that are super cool, but the rest of them I don't really
Yeah.
like. I'm not a huge fan of ball pythons. I have zero. The only ball pythons I might have are in the freezer for the king cobra. Like,
Right.
I'm not a
Yeah.
huge fan. And that's just not my bag. But I don't shit on ball python people. I think
Right.
that it's an overrun part of the industry, but I also don't think that it's their fault because it's one
No,
of the
no, no, no,
easiest
no.
one of the
They're just the
easiest
easy
ones to get
target.
warps in. You can do all these things, and they're
Yeah.
an easy target. Also,
Yep.
it's not their fault when you have 180 vendors and 110 of them are brought in by the association that's putting on the show are all ball python people. Then when ball python people are bitching about so much competition, it's like it's not even on their competitors. They all just got the same table you did and hoped less of you
Yep.
would show up just like you did. It's
Yeah.
it's on the people running the shows, and like
And
this is
and,
the
and
type of
it's and
stuff that
it's
has to be brought up
and it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. Again,
for
that's
sure.
the issue. There's so many people that come into this hobby. They're not educated business people. They don't understand that competition is a good thing. Competition means, hey, we should all raise our prices. There is a tremendous demand for all these animals. I'm going on record now. I've been saying it for months. Everyone is charging too little for literally everything. I'm not kidding. Literally every animal. If you have an animal for sale right now, raise the price. Period. End of story. Raise the price. It's too little. Period. End of story. I'm just telling you. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a ball python or a fucking king snake. The price is too low.
My only contest to that would be I would like to see more good, young, motivated people get into the hobby, and not
So
a
would
lot of their
I.
parents can afford
agree.
$13,000 ball pythons.
I
And there
agree.
has to be entry level items that are
And
also
that comes from communication too. So I think that the problem that we have right now, and specifically with ball python, is that so many people are out there saying, "Oh, well, you can't breed these animals and be successful unless you're willing to spend $5,000-$10,000 per animal," right? And while simultaneously kind of like it's not intentional. It's not. I don't think it's intentional by most people
right.
to sell the idea of a ball python as, "Oh, you have to get in these to breed." But there's not anyone, literally, that I can think of. There's no one that is promoting them as pets right now. They're basically, if you look them up on YouTube, all you're going to find is information on how to breed them and like why you should be breeding them and how to make money off of breeding them. And I do think that is ultimately like that's going to cause some hiccups.
We created that monster, and I think
for sure
ultimately it will cause issues. But here's
from
the thing:
beginning.
so we're talking about like the rules of the industry, the rules of business, like just the the general ladder that you have to go up, just like going to college, getting a job, the corporate ladder, like all these things are a ladder. And when it comes to me in business, it's like cool. So that's what you're supposed to do is this, then this, and this, and this. I'm like that's fine, but if I was trying to get to the roof, they're like, this is the ladder you have to take. And I'm like, cool. But I could also climb out a window, swing from a tree branch.
Yeah,
I could
you're like, hang on.
in. I could hang.
I see an alternate route.
Like, there's a million ways to get on that roof. Get creative, man. Here's how I want to talk about rules and business and things like that, right? Answer me this, both of you guys. Which one is correct? 4. Well, let's do this. 2 + 2 = 4, or 2 + 2 = 11. Which one is correct? Both. Because we're taught in our lives in the U.S. mathematical system growing up in base 10 math that you go 0 through 9 and then it starts back over 0. It's a 10 and then through 9 and then it's a 2 and then through 9, right? That's base 10 math. So 2 + 2 is 4 in base 10. That's the logic that we use in business, especially in this hobby. But here's the reality. 2 + 2 is also 11 if you use base 3. Because base 3 only counts 0, 1, 2, 10, 11, 12, 20, 21, 22. That's base 3 math. So if you switch the way the game is played, you can actually make 2 + 2 = 11 make sense. Change the rules. And 2 + 2 actually equals 11 if you use a base 3 math system. That's the kind of stuff that people need to do. Like they're like, oh, I am creative. I'm like, no, you just took what you thought was one thing and mixed it with another thing and made a thing that you thought was new. That's not creativity. Be creative, man. Like see where the gaps are. And if you're in the industry trying to be creative and make a change and do all these things in any part of the reptile industry, and you're doing it for you're doing it for the wrong reasons. That's just my opinion.
That's 100%. That's exactly why I wanted you on here, Brent, because you have such a better outlook on a lot of the things that you do, and your mind goes a million miles an hour, and everybody's gonna say that, and it's like you have an idea for this and this and this and this and this, and you'll even whenever you come over here and you're like, well, why don't you change it this way or change it this way? And I'm just like, I wish I could have you as my personal assistant for a week, and you could solve all of my life issues.
I can, but you can't afford me.
Yeah, I know I can't.
No.
But half the time I only got to pay you in Basil Hayden, so that's all I need to do anyway. But I mean, that's why I wanted you on here, because you're such like a big person on change and getting everybody on the same boat and getting the right people together and talking about the things that need to be talked about that people are afraid to talk about. So
No, it's absolutely true, and thank you so much. I mean, that it honestly means the world to me. I mean, you are literally one of my best friends in the entire world. I'm sure Zach and I will get there. You know, I have a lot of respect for him as well, and he and I are a lot alike, and I can see that in our visions
yeah, you guys
and the
are.
way we see things, and I see a good future friendship for sure. But you know, when it comes down to stuff like that, like so to circle back real quick, when I was in the music industry for a long time, I did a show with with Seven Dust, and and I was at the bar afterwards with Morgan Rose and LaJon Witherspoon. Morgan Rose is the drummer, and LaJon Witherspoon is the lead singer for Seven Dust. We're at the bar drinking tequila, whatever, and he sits down with me. He goes, "You know what, man? You remind me a lot of myself when I was younger." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Yeah, this is in 2010." He goes, "Yeah, man, you remind me a lot of myself when I was younger." He goes, "You're up there doing your thing, loving life, doing this and that." He goes, "But let me tell you something. These people worked all week to make a paycheck, and they chose to use a part of that to come out here and put it in your pocket so that you gave them something, whether it was feeling better, forgetting about their ex, one night away from the kids, whatever it was. They chose to spend a part of that hard-earned money that they could have probably put into debt or credit card or whatever, food in their kids' mouths, an extra treat. They chose to spend it on you. And you're up there doing this for your fucking self. If you're on stage performing for people and charging them money and you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I quit my band 3 weeks later. Went back to school at the age of 30 to become a zoologist, which, by the way, was an even worse long-term financial plan. But we'll circle back to that. But yeah, man, I mean, like it's shit like that. When people talk real things happen. When people talk real and they're 100% honest and open and authentic, which, by the way, nobody really is. I say that as a blanket statement, knowing that there are exceptions.
Sure.
But relatively speaking,
yeah,
we're not, man.
9 times out of 10, you're going to be right with that one. Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, like, you know, people who are always open, always honest, say what they mean. And then more importantly, follow through and have integrity with that. Super rare, man. And that's the kind of people that we need. And I don't just mean in the industry, because to be super clear, we have a bunch of those people. We have a bunch of those people. I just mean in the world. We need more people who are not scared to. Who gives a shit what people think, man? We have one shot at this motherfucker called life. One shot. And you're gonna waste it worrying about what the fuck everybody else thinks? People that you're probably never gonna see again, who already don't respect you and don't actually think that whatever you're doing is a real job, it's a hobby, and you're gonna put all of your time and effort in this one chance you have on this planet into worrying about if they think you're doing it right. Am I selling it too high? Am I whatever? Get the fuck out of here, man. Do what you love. Make a difference on this planet. Be open and honest and authentic. And if you do those things, you will get everything you wanted in life. It will come back to you. I promise you that. Because people who
100%.
always say what they want, they get what they want.
Yeah. Well, and those are the people that are best at building relationships. And let's be honest, Brent, like, at the end of the day, you know, I've had so many opportunities in my life where I've worked in so many industries, from being a mechanic to being a salesperson. I've worked in sales more than I care to think about or even talk about. I've been a licensed mortgage loan originator. I've worked at in sales at Best Buy. Like I've worked in sales.
When I tell people what I've done for a living, they're like, "You must be like 316 years old."
Exactly. Miri actually has a similar resume. I feel like has worked in a million different places. But I feel like, again, we all share, like, there's a certain personality trait that we all share where we're just fucking real with people. Like, we enjoy conversation with people, or whatever the fuck it is about us, that we're wired that way, man. But the point is that at the end of the day, we're fucking off. Exactly. People know where the fuck they stand with us. And that shit means a lot. And that builds a lot of relationships along the way that you would be amazed that the phone that you can just pick up a phone and fucking call somebody if you need something and make amazing things happen. You
That is
know, and there's
100% the only way to grow in life is to be the realest person that you can, and that's how you gain all that stuff. Moving to Texas, I posted about it. I have a million people messaging me in this industry offering the help, and like, what better can you get than this industry and being real with people and making the right friendships?
No, that's absolutely right, man. And when it comes to personal growth, listen, I want to be clear with everybody watching this. Um, yeah, I'm not making half of this shit up. Literally, I can show you bank receipts. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on personal improvement. I've done over 72 books between audio and hardcover since the summer of 2019 on personal improvement. Like, I've done a lot of this, and I know that doesn't make me an expert in it. Whatever, I get it. I
no,
don't have,
but you put the effort in is the point.
but I don't have
Right.
I don't have it on my mirror that, like, you are beautiful, love yourself today. Like, I don't have that bullshit. It's not like the Tony Robbins, tell yourself you're great. No, this is real shit, man. Not a lot of people. Well, some people know this. They call me the Trans-American Transient, North American Nomad. My favorite on YouTube was the Venomous Vagabond. That was my favorite. But I literally lived in my truck and traveled around. My first stop when I left Colorado last January was Sid's house. I stayed there for almost just over a week.
Yep.
Because I left my house with whatever fit in my truck, no
Yep.
plan, no real savings, no real income, and I just left. And my goal was to do 12 months, Zach. And
Yeah.
the reason I did that was because the only way to truly grow as a human being is to do things that are uncomfortable. I'll tell you right now,
Exactly.
if you're doing the same shit you've always done, you're going to get the same shit you always get. Everybody's heard that.
Dude.
What I tell people is your life is perfectly designed for exactly the results that you're getting. Okay? So the only way to truly grow is to do uncomfortable things. Go outside the box. Be creative.
Yep.
Try something you've never tried. If you're starting a business and you're not stupid excited and absolutely fucking terrified, you're not doing
stress.
it.
Like
Yeah.
stress.
You
pressured
better be
like
terrified,
a
because
motherfucker.
if you're not terrified starting a business,
Yeah.
you didn't put enough skin in the game. Period.
Yeah, right.
Like, you should be
Dude,
terrified and super excited. But when I did 12 months on the road by myself, that was my goal. I actually made it 13 and a half. When I started that journey, man, it was, what's the most uncomfortable I could be? For me, as an extrovert, ex-musician, like always out in the public eye, it was being alone. I'm not good at it. Not in relationships, not in public settings. Like,
he couldn't even be alone in my house. He had the dogs up on him the whole time.
For sure. Like, I'm not good at being alone. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put all my shit in my truck, and I'm going to just travel for a year in my truck by myself. I had support and I had friends, but I gained support and friends along the way. I learned more about myself in 13 months than most people will in 85 years on this planet. Because I went out and did the most uncomfortable thing I could think about. And I can assure you, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I've never cried so hard, cried so much. I mean, it was by far but I had no choice. When I'm sitting on the couch by myself and I'm like, shit,
who do you call?
I don't want to be I'm sitting here crying, right? And I'm like, I don't want to be on the couch with me. How the hell could I be mad at somebody else for not wanting to be on the couch with me?
Right.
And then that all circles back to, like, I need to learn to love myself so that other people can love me, right? And that's where a lot of this grew from. And so bringing that back to, like, business and the industry and things like that, I think a lot of people are out there trying to do whatever the fuck it is they think everybody else wants them to do, or they think they should do. And it's like, bro, just go do what you want to do, right? Like, one of my favorite quotes of all time was Henry Ford. He said, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Figure it out, man. Take a chance. Every great invention, every great thing you've ever experienced, from the iPhone to the Model T Ford and vehicles in general, from petroleum to the fucking glass wine holder you have in your shower stuck to the tile. Every single one of those inventions was created by somebody who went and did something after a million other people told them they couldn't fucking do it. And it wasn't going to work. And every single one of them did. And now listen, a million other ones failed before that one worked.
Yeah, but those were those were destined to fail, or meant to fail, or they were the wrong time, or whatever. But the point that you're making, man, and it's actually really funny that you bring this up, because I just was having this conversation with one of my very close friends about just
Bullshit. You
literally.
have friends.
Yeah, I have one or two. They're very few and far between. One
They're
or two.
both here.
Exactly. They're basically both here. So my very good friend, who I won't name, but if he sees this, like I hope that he understands how legitimately I take everything you're saying. Because, dude, so I went to Auburn University in 2011. The reason that I went to Auburn University in 2011 was because I said, okay, I am a high school dropout.
So am I.
I was told that I would never be anything. I was
Same.
told that I would, I was just an idiot, and I will never be nothing. But meanwhile, I was also always ever in advanced placement and, like, 3 grades ahead of where I needed to be on every scale and whatever. But anyways, I did end up ultimately dropping out of high school because I had scoliosis. I had to have surgery. I was going to be out of school for like 2 months. I was basically given no option. Long story short, I ended up going to community college, getting a GED, and then transferring to the top 20 mechanical engineering school in the United States, with flying colors. They were happy to have me, and I had a 4.0 my first semester there. But the whole reason that I transferred to Auburn University and moved to Auburn, Alabama, was because I looked into it and I was like, I don't know anyone in Auburn, Alabama. I don't know anyone in the state of Alabama. I don't know anyone within like 6 to 8 hours of the state of Alabama. So that's where I want to go. It's an amazing school. They are willing to have me, and I know no one, not one single solitary fucking soul.
It help
So
you keep
let
your
me do
focus.
that. Yeah. And keep in mind, I was in a relationship at the time. Like, I was still dating someone. None of it, like, looking back on it, I was like, nothing made sense. But in my brain, I was like, this is what I need to do to grow as a person. And I committed to it. And I never looked back. I got into a motorcycle accident before I left for that. I almost fucking died. I should be dead. I should not be talking to you guys. I shattered numerous bones. I mean, I should be dead. I tore the front end off a Lexus IS 300 going well over 100 miles an hour on a Gixxer 1000, or excuse me, Gixxer 600 at the time. I bought a Gixxer 1000 later. Anyways, I should be fucking dead. And I still transferred in successfully to one of the top 20 engineering schools in the United States with a fucking GED. And I was looked at like a fucking leper by every 20-year-old kid that had fought their way to get there. And they're like, wait a minute, you're like 24 and like you like just transferred here
That
and you're in the
doesn't
same spot as me.
matter.
I'm like,
Yep.
yeah. Doesn't it make you second guess every decision you ever made in your life? And like, yeah, I would have been like way cooler and like not focused so much on all this bullshit.
Well,
But my
no,
point is that, man, yeah, absolutely. Get the fuck out of your comfort zone. Do shit that makes you feel weird. And even
and
if you
makes you
don't
happy.
succeed, the
Mm-hmm.
takeaway is going to be tremendous.
Yeah.
Same thing, Brent. Like when you were telling me, like, man, there was nights where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I know no one. I literally know not a single person in the city. But what did it force me to do? It's like, okay, I can sit here and fucking like cry in my beer, or I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go for a walk and just see what happens. I'll just get hammered and go for a walk and just see what happens. And I made amazing connections with amazing people. And honestly, if I'd have leaned harder into everything that I was doing at that point in my life, I'd probably be a lot happier even now. But that's besides the point. The point
Yeah.
is that just get the fuck out of your comfort zone. Just do some shit that makes you feel weird.
Yeah, for sure, man. I
It'll
think
force you to
if
grow.
you're trying to do something that is uncomfortable for you, that means it's gonna make you a better person in the long run. That's my opinion. And
Yeah.
for me, I was 17 years old. I dropped out middle of my junior year.
Yep.
I joined a band. We toured for a long time, and I don't talk about this a lot, but it's part of my life story, so I think it's important to talk about here. I played in Nemesis for a long time. We toured with Linkin Park, Atreyu, Chris Cornell. Um, I left Nemesis in 2009. I started an alternative hip hop band, and did that for a while, and then we opened for a band called Filthy T. They called me 2 weeks later and said, "Hey, our lead singer's going to Bangkok. You should be our new lead singer MC." So I did that, and we had like 7 albums on Spotify and have music videos and all these things, right? And like I lived the life, man. Like I haven't
Yeah.
paid to get into a concert forever. I call in this moment,
Yeah. You just call
and
a guy.
I just call them and I'm like, hey, I want to come to the show, and they just get me in backstage or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I don't do any of this stuff. I go to the strip club with Seven Dust and Avenged Sevenfold. Like it's whatever. It was a glorious life, man. My
Yeah.
last paid job as a musician, I got paid $750 to drink vodka with Pitbull and judge a swimsuit competition, and Skrillex was a DJ, and I got paid for that. And then I woke up on my 30th birthday and I was like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah. You realize
I got a kid.
life hit you. Yeah.
But
The
I
quality
wanted
of
to
life
be,
in some way.
but I wanted to be a herpetologist since I was a kid, man. Since I was 6
Yeah.
years old, I said, you know what?
Yep.
I'm doing that. I quit my
Yeah.
band, quit my job, left my daughter at 10 years old, went to Kansas where I really didn't know anybody, and went to school for 4 years.
Yeah.
And when I did that, it was kind of the same thing. I was told the entire time. I said my advisors and professors are like, "Well, what do you want to do with this degree?" I'm like, "Well, I want to, travel. I want to get paid to travel the world and work with venomous animals and help people." They're like, "Well, you're
Yeah.
not an MD. You're not an MS. You're not even a master's student. You know,
Yeah.
you're not a researcher. Like nobody's gonna pay you to do venom." Within 3 years of graduating, not only did I teach plant taxonomy for 2 years as an undergrad with 5 graduate students in my class, because I did so well in that class. But I also um, brought all my professors and my advisor to dinner just over a year later from graduating. And I paid for the whole dinner without telling them. And I said, Venom paid for that dinner. You're welcome.
Don't you love when that happens? Perfect.
But I mean, I had to because, sorry, I'm stepping away for a second. But I had
You're
to
good.
because, it's just one of those things where I've been the guy my whole life where, tell me I can't. Right?
Right.
That's been my attitude, which has been
Yeah.
one of my greatest strengths in business, one of my greatest strengths in relationships. It's also been one of my greatest weaknesses and caused me a lot of the most trouble.
That's you sound like every successful person that I've ever spoken to
Yeah,
ever in the
exactly.
history of successful people. Is in
Well,
all
as soon as I
seriousness,
become
I'm
one,
not
I'll let
kidding.
you. As soon as I become a successful person, I'll let you know if that's actually still true.
Well, here's the thing, Brett, is that what a lot of people won't appreciate is that you wake up every day and you make your own way. You literally can, at the drop of a hat, move somewhere and do whatever the fuck you want because you have skills and abilities that allow you to be able to do that. Like you can go and fucking do kitchens and countertops and bathrooms and whatever the fuck, literally any goddamn where in the world. I had a customer, and it was the first time while bartending at least that somebody really made me have like a revelation about myself. This particular customer, he was always known as an oddball. He's still known as an oddball. He's a very interesting guy, but he's also a very successful business person. I mean, self-made, multi-millionaire. And I was serving him one day, and he goes, Zach, he's like, do you know you could move to China? And I was like, what? Like that's the way that he presents things. And this is why he's like this known as this weird, eclectic, strange person, because that's the way he presents ideas. He's like, Doc, no, it's like, understand. He's like, dude, he's like, you could move to China tomorrow and be a bartender. And like you could make your way living in China. Like if that's what you wanted to do. And the reason why he's such a loved person is because that's his personality. He's like, he was sitting at the bar having a beer that I served him that he was, probably overpaying for because let's be honest, he could have been a block away at his house having a beer on his own. But for whatever reason, he felt in that moment it was important to tell me, hey, Zach, do you know that you can do this job anywhere in the world? And I had never had anyone tell me that. And especially bartending, oftentimes people are like, yeah, like, what do you do for a regular job? Like what's your normal job? Like, how do you actually pay your bills? Because this isn't how you pay them, right? But this was the first time that I had somebody be like, hey, man, you're so good at your job. You can literally move anywhere in the world and you can do this. And that's like crazy to think about, right? He's like, where the fuck would you want to live? And dude, my mind, I couldn't even come up with an answer. And that's when I realized, I was like, I'm fucking this up. I am fucking up in some way where I have not even considered what he's talking about. I haven't considered the fact that, yeah, I could go be a fucking bartender in Bangkok tomorrow if I want to. What do I have to do? I got to buy a fucking plane ticket to Bangkok and be like, hey, I'm here. I speak English only. But I bartend. So like, let me make some money here. And I can do that.
Well, what's cool about
And
that is
dude,
the cost of living is so much cheaper.
Yeah, well,
Can
and
we
that's
talk
exactly.
about how quickly Brent changed his shorts? Just for a second.
I did. I just wanted to get it just a little bit shorter because it actually got a little bit hotter here.
Yeah, Brent's like,
So
I'm just trying to see if I can just get a slip in on this podcast for sure.
I just had to get a little bit shorter.
If anybody needs a sneak peek, I don't even remember when it was. It was Tinley, right? When you were in my shorts.
It was,
you fit
Jesus
perfectly
Christ.
in my.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore? That he just fit perfectly in your shorts and he was in them the whole time and everything was great and wonderful.
Yeah, no, honestly, we were at Tinley. It was fall of 19 or spring
Mm,
of 20. It was
I
fall of
thought spring of
19.
20 didn't happen.
Yeah, so it
It
was
had
fall
to
of
have been
19.
19.
So we were
Yeah.
fall of 19. We were at Tinley, Chicago at the NARBC show, and we were all up in the hotel room. And so I don't even know how it happened, but somehow I
I
got
don't
challenged to
either.
see if I could fit into her jean shorts. And apparently, Sid and I are the exact same size waist and
I think I'm
thighs.
a
So
little bigger than you are, just a little bit, and that says a
maybe.
lot.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
it's. But I don't want to talk about the fact that it could have been appeared smaller for other reasons, but that's fine. I mean, yeah,
Listen, it was cold in that room, okay? I don't want to
I
talk about
actually,
it.
no, I actually, well, to be clear, she said I was bigger than. No, she's bigger than me. That's what she said. Never mind.
Yeah,
That's not a compliment.
I'm worried
So,
about you. I'm trying to help
I
you.
mean,
Help me
to be
help you.
clear,
Help me.
to be clear, it was in October. So I went to
And
the hot tub.
it was Chicago, so
It
it's
was
obviously
Chicago in
cold.
snowing. Yeah,
October.
it
So I
was
went.
You guys, yeah.
snowing.
So you guys just need to assume it was very cold. So and
I
I
did.
say guys. When I say guys, I mean ladies. Ladies understand. It was very cold.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
So
he
here's
was
the thing.
FaceTiming everybody as soon as he got those on.
I
That was hilarious. I think the first call was McVeigh, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he
I'm
came down
sure
and
he
knocked on the
appreciated
door
it very
before.
much.
I think he knocked on the door before the FaceTime was over.
Oh, yeah.
And then we went to the hot tub. But here's the thing. I have no shame. I told you I was 100% open, honest, and authentic.
Oh, no
And if
shit.
that
Yeah.
means that I'll put on Miri's short shorts or Daisy Dukes and wear them down to the hot tub and hang out, I'm okay with that. Because listen, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm here to have a good time, love my life, love my friends and my family, and make a difference in the world. My goal,
You
like
impressed
you
a lot
heard
of people
before,
that night,
Zach,
though.
is to leave the world 1/10 of 1% better than I found it.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that about you, Brent. Again, without having even hardly spoken to you. Um, I like to think that I'm pretty perceptive. The reality is that just, dude, your energy that you bring, and I hope that the number one takeaway from this call. I understand for anybody that's catching this at the end, we've covered a lot of topics. We've covered everything from positives to negatives to just whatever. The point of this entire thing is really to promote positivity, and the whole reason that Miri and I both wanted to bring on is that because we feel like he's one of our allies in wanting to bring that energy to this hobby. And again, as an example of already doing so, whether it be through the fact that again he has found a way to promote this hobby and profit off this hobby without having to produce animals. That's an amazing thing. I would be
And
proud to do that.
without putting anybody down in the process,
Exactly,
by the way.
exactly. Like there's no downside.
That's
There's
important.
no downside to what Brent does in terms of the things that he profits off of in terms of this hobby. That's amazing. I don't think any of us that produce animals can say that because at the end of the day, there are always going to be downsides on that side, and we're not going to talk about it. But the point is just that again, I want, and Miri also wants this, whether she's quiet as often as she is or not. We all three genuinely just want this hobby to be represented positively. I apologize for tripping over my words. Positively. We want for all of this stuff to encourage all of you guys too, because again, Brent, like what we talked about at the very beginning of this, man, like how do we deal with people that are negative about these animals? Like you have to kill them with kindness. You have to. And if you're not capable of doing that, then please just bite your tongue and don't react negatively, because you don't understand that in human psychology, if someone says, I've experienced it. I didn't say this before, but I was at a pet store, local pet store. They asked us to bring in some of our snakes that we kept at the time, and we did to show off to a couple people that wanted to be there. And there was a guy that was like, "Don't bring that snake any closer to me, or I'll kill it." Now, every inkling of my body wanted to tell this motherfucker that if he took a half a step towards my animal, that I was going to just wreck his face. That's what I wanted to say. But I recognized in that moment that this guy already hates me. He already hates me for the animals that I keep. And I was like, hey man, you know what? I'm really sorry that you feel that way, and maybe you've had a bad interaction with this species before. And so, I hope you have a great night. And I can keep it that simple. I didn't have to fucking break out the Bible on this dude and explain things. And because there's no point, what I can do is just be smiley and happy and nice and have him go to his car and sit down and be like, maybe for a second, he's going to be like, I was kind of addicted to that guy. And he reacted really nicely. That's something I hope that all of you take away, because that's something that I see Brent do all the time. That's something that I see Miri do all the time. And I hope that that's something that you guys see me do as often as I can. I don't ever pledge to be perfect, but I hope that's something we can all commit
absolutely.
to. So
sometimes it's okay to just smile and nod and walk away. Sometimes it's a better decision. Guess how many times a bee has tried to convince a fly that eating shit isn't anywhere near as good as eating nectar?
Yeah.
It's never happened.
You got to pick your battles.
The bees don't try to convince the flies that eating shit is the wrong food source. But you know what I mean? Like,
but you got to be happy and represent us well, and just understand that you're not going to win every battle, but your non-reaction to a negative provocation can oftentimes win even when you're not around. And so I think that's my number one takeaway. And I love that I got that out of Brent like very early on in this. It was like I was so excited when that came up in that way, because I'm like, fuck, this is like literally the entire point that I wanted to make with all of this. And so
right off the bat. But here's the thing, just so everybody else knows. And if anything gets published as like a quick clip, I want to do this. When we talk about the negativity in the industry and how the industry has to grow, I'm not singling anybody out. I'm not saying that any of you guys are doing anything wrong. I want to be super clear about that. I love everybody in the industry. I don't have anything bad personally to say about anybody. But I know that as a group, we can do better.
Yeah.
I don't have a personal problem with anybody in the industry, and I'm not saying anybody else is doing a bad deal. What I do know is that I see other people battling over things that aren't worth battling over, talking about things that aren't worth talking about, fighting over things that aren't worth fighting about. And if we just stop and say we're all here for the same reason, we're doing the same thing for the same reason, you're just like I am, and support each other more. You're wearing a Triple B shirt. I'm wearing a Venom Life shirt and an MSB hat. Sid has my icon on her screen, which is awesome. So everybody's supporting everybody.
She's supporting no one.
You're supporting Slayer. We'll probably see Kerry King in 3 weeks up at Schaumburg.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's one of those things where we don't have a bad industry. We have a good industry on a bad trajectory is what we have.
Yep.
And if we really want to survive as an industry and see everybody do well, we have to support each other as people and come together as people and help each other. And I see a lot of that, by the way.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of that
every day. Yeah.
But, and I'm not discounting that, but it has to happen more. We need to quit feeding into the bullshit. Quit with the cliquey nonsense. Do what you love because you love it. Make a difference while you do it, and be the best at what you do, and lead by example. And stop feeding the bullshit, and quit being the fucking Kardashians of the goddamn herpetology world. And we can all live better lives, make more money, and get more people who care into this hobby, because let's face it, we're not all going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you guys actually care about the animals, and with conservation and education and all those other things, or it's just breeding and making money. If you just want to make money, go be a fucking lawyer. Go be a doctor if it's really about the money.
Yeah. Time-wise, it's about the same. It's just
I'm just saying,
you want to raise up some female ball pythons for 3 years and make some money off of them, you can probably just go be an engineer or some shit.
People ask me on podcasts all the time, like, why are you a biologist? Why are you a zoologist? Why you do this? Why you do that? And I'm like, man, I got my hands in a million pots. I'm doing real estate stuff and fix and flips and an Amazon company, and I got a million things going on. And the reality is, like, if it was in it for the money, I would have never gone to school for 4 years and taken on that debt to become a biologist.
Mm-hmm.
If I was in it for the money, I would have been a doctor. I would have been a lawyer. I'm not in it for the money. Yeah, I want to make a good living. I want to leave a good legacy. I want to set a good example, and I want to do well. But the reality is, we can all do that without putting each other down.
Yep.
Let's step up, man. You know, be a good fucking human being and care about people, because people are animals just like your snakes. The only difference is we have arms and legs,
Yeah.
and we can metabolize. We're ectotherms, and we
And
have much bigger
speak and,
brains.
you know,
Oh,
the whole
no,
nine.
hold on, wait. There's a whole bunch of reasons that we're arguably better. So let's put more energy into that if we're going to actually care
Yeah,
about animals.
for sure.
Because here's the
Hell yeah.
reality, man. At the end of the day, we have this awesome hobby slash business that all of us are interested in, and most people watching this probably are as well. And I don't want to deter people from being a part of it because of drama. And I don't want to deter kids from being a part of it because it's scary, because people are going to talk shit about you on a podcast.
Yeah.
No, man. Like we have an awesome industry with awesome
Yeah.
people.
And for the record, there's not a single soul. I'm not kidding. Miri can attest to this. Brent, you at some point can attest to this. There's no one that's gonna reach out to me to let me know that like they love this hobby and they want to talk to me. Like, in all seriousness, if you want somebody that's just fucking positive, like if you're just getting into this hobby and you just want somebody that's positive to be around, hit me up. I don't give a fuck. Like, I will message anyone back. I will follow anyone back. I promise you, like that is, yeah. And again, yeah, Miri's the same way. Brent is the same way. Like,
I mean, dude,
literally,
people like, you change your number when you got down there. I'm like,
yeah.
bro, because I'm 1 degree of separation from everybody on the planet. My cell phone number is posted on 7 websites.
Yeah,
call myself.
Yeah, literally all 3 of us are the right fucking people for you guys to get involved with. So I don't care what you may have heard or experienced from other people, other keepers, whatever. Reach out to us, because here's the thing. Even if there's something that you're doing that's fucking wrong, that people criticize you for, guess what? We will talk you through it, and we'll figure it out together, and we will allow you to be successful, make you successful through our experiences, and just like that's what it should be all about.
We're not just
all of us
tell you you're wrong.
supporting everyone.
Tell you you're wrong, and then tell you how to fix
it. And
why?
And hey, this care. And hey, I did the same shit. Like, trust me, there's no mistake. There's nothing that you can reach out to any of us about that any of us are going to judge you for. And that's what I love about all of these people that I'm doing this live with right now, is that all of us are legitimately just trying to fucking build all of this up a lot bigger than what it is. And so genuinely, Brent, thank you so much, man, for coming on. Miri, thank you for inviting Brent to do this, because I'm a terrible person when it comes to fucking just scheduling and inviting people on.
I'm glad you said it, because I would have sounded like an asshole if I said it.
Oh no, yeah. Brent would have basically been like, so Zach said he was going to be in here 30 minutes early, and Zach was here like 7 minutes before we were supposed to go live, and then
we were on the phone waiting for you.
Yeah,
we had to wait on you.
30 minutes waiting for you, talking about exactly.
Yeah. I'm kind of a bad person.
We're not judging. No, you're not a bad person. You 3.
I'm bad at following through.
I want you guys to raise your drinks. Here's to us.
Mine's empty. Hold on.
You should have said that. Nobody would have noticed.
I'll raise 2. I'll raise 1 for me and 1 for Miri.
Oh no, she's got it.
There you go.
Us. Here's to the hobby. Here's to the success of what we do and making a difference in the world. Anybody who wants to get into the hobby, this is to you as well. Live your best dreams, live your best life, and don't be scared to take chances. Do shit that's uncomfortable. I love you all, and I thank you for having me.
Love all you guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
It was a blast, guys. Thanks so much. And you know what? I honestly feel like, I knew we were going to go over an hour. There's no chance, dude. Like, for me to go under 3 hours is exceptional.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Good news for everybody.
There you go.
That means I'm going to be back, because I got a lot more to say.
100%.
Of course you do.
Everybody tune in for the next one. In all seriousness, and this has been our inaugural live, Miri, for our actual channel by ourselves, like our actual solo channel. So for real, everybody tune in next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you did miss it, please subscribe to this channel. It's going to help us out tremendously. Literally, the channel's so small at this point, it's so new. you can't even look for it. You can't even type it into Google. You can't type it into YouTube. So please subscribe if this is something that matters to you guys, and we will continue advertising it from here on out, and obviously continue to give you guys content that will allow for it to matter to you. So for real, we will see you guys next week. Love you all, and we will see y'all soon. We are out.